Hello, everyone. Welcome to NDISCO'S Village Meeting Podcast. This is your hostess, Dr. Marcellina and NDISCO'S, warmly welcoming you to today's episode. We are on Series 3, and this is episode 38. We are going places, right? I hope so. How on a day? Uh, is We've been talking about, other aspects of emotions, like how you meditate, and we used what was contemporary, some things that is, or some things that are happening in our midst, especially for those lovers of um, soccer. We used a particular gentleman that was, bringing back the fun of using our emotions to do well for ourselves. And from, we hopefully we got a lot from that. And from there, we went into another aspect of asking, helping all of us to ask ourselves the questions surrounding imposter syndrome. Are we victims? Do we know anybody who is showing such symptoms or signs? And so please make time to go back to those two last episodes 36 and 37. Today, we are doing a deep dive into something that I've been working on for a long time. And it's not going to be a topic that we talk, about just once. What I have been doing, I've been gathering information from our young ones. Remember, this podcast is on Africa, society, and culture. And I decided long ago to hunker down on our young adults and women. It doesn't mean that I don't talk about men, I do. But there's a whole range of, stuff going on. And that is actually the focus area. And despite the fact that I say, okay, we are doing this on Africa, I always go back to my own region. They say charity begins at home. So I go from Nigeria, where I'm born, and from Igbo land, from my community in Mbise, and walk up to other areas. What I advocate is that each region of Africa and of the world, because some of these topics are so universal, is that you take what you can and apply to your region and adapt, modify to suit your area. These are extensive researches done on such topics. So this particular one today, I have been talking to the young ones. I wanted to understand what is it about their parents that are pushing them back from being the best they can do, if any, or what is it they're not getting? I always share with all that listening to them after before I wrote my book, Raising an African Child in America, um, from my perspective as an immigrant mom, is to look at, um, I know most of them are doing well, but what is holding some of them back? And what conflicts do they go through to achieve this? And you see that some of them, because of the battle with the environment, where they are born and the values of their own culture, traditions that they are being introduced to, some of them are at crossroads. Um, Identity conflict is going on, and much, much more. So I started asking questions, why is that? Why are they having such difficulties? And some of them talk to me, and I hear from them something they don't even talk to their parents about. And that worries me because I push some of them back to tell their parents. And some of the things we even call taboos, and most of them will come out later. They share with outsiders. So why can't they share with you? Sometimes I know some of them do share, and it's too much information, but you listen. What I don't do is to give them answers, but I ask a lot of questions. And that I share that all the time, that it brings out that light in their heads, like the bulb goes off and they're like, aha, I call it the aha moment. And they go do what they have to do. But I always try to push them back to their parents or whoever it is out there. I will listen to them and give a second opinion. I don't know much, I don't know everything, but I share with them some of my experiences, or I tell them I don't know, and I go back to research. So today, and it's not that they can't go back to do some of these researches, is just because um, they are busy with school and some other things and work. They are young. They can't go deep into that. So what I do is to just pull stuff together from different fields of thought and give them some kind of summary, and they're on with that. So as you, the parents, are out there listening or watching or observing, I also encourage you to talk to them, ask them questions, bring them closer. They need directions. So today's topic is on, I call it the African concern. Okay. Let me pull the first one up. Um, um, this says the topic actually is, like I shared, the concerns of these young ones of ours. And their big complaint is that it is hard to raise our parents. And it could be funny, but yeah, at a point in our lives, remember when we start getting older, the child becomes the parents, or the child becomes the parent. And it happens to a lot of people, especially those that were born within a particular time, that are retiring now or are getting older now or dying off. This is time that their offsprings are looking at them as now they are kids. And some of you can relate to that. So the big umbrella is they complain. One of their complaints is it is hard to raise our parents. So there are so many outlets to this topic that I have decided to pieces them a little bit, divide them into parts that may fit together. So bear with me, and you can always expand on these. So I have them in four parts. And so you will see part A, part B, part C, and D. Part A being sharing or discussing some possible emotional impacts or effects or implications uh, to this statement. It is hard to raise our parents. How does emotion fit into all that? You will see me, discuss part B on economic and financial impacts, effects, and implications. And then there will be a part C that will delve into environmental impacts, effects, implications, community aspect to that, spiritual and religious, all in that part. And then we round it up with the part D that will deal with legal and political impact, effect, and implications. So the next four episodes will deal on this topic. And I hope you come with me and let's really review the items that were collated from different schools of thought. And let me share that this topic may not just concern the any young ones just in diaspora. We're talking about also young Africans at the homestead on the soil of Africa. They also do it, giving them some complaints that it is hard to raise their parents, and that's us, their elders, they're adults. Okay? So without much ado, let's delve into the first one. Talk about the emotional part. So in this first one of the items that came up was the role reversal. And as their parents get older, like we said, the parents become the children now, and our children who are now grown become the adults. So that role reversal is causing a little bit of conflict for them, especially when we don't listen to them. Like they say, they may feel, burdened by this responsibility that they now have to pick up for caring for us, the parents. And when they do that, we're not listening to what they're saying, it leads to stress. Yes, some of us will say, oh, anyway, we took care of our own parents. And so it's the onus is on them to do the same. We shouldn't be thinking that way. Yes, culturally, we say, hey, we did everything for you, so you take care of us. But these children will open their mouths and say, well, I didn't ask you to bring me into this world. And that's right. That's there. We talk about more of that during when we talk about legal aspects. And it's natural that God, whoever gave them to us, didn't ask us for anything, and we maybe have asked for them to come to us, but they did never ask to come to us. So the obligation is not to be heaped on them to really do that. So that role reversal, if not well done, becomes a burden for them, and that causes a lot of stress. So that role reversal becoming the parents, and they say we don't listen. And we delve into that to see what aspects we don't listen to as we go. Some of them, while they are trying this role reversal, listening to us, sharing with us what they think, and we ignoring them, you know, they are concerned about us. Believe me, even if you didn't raise them with care or you raised them with a lot of care and values, they also having that innate they have that innate feeling, innate caring for taking care of you and I. And so when they care for this aspect, to care for you, it may lead to premature loss of childhood. Just imagine you get sick or you don't have any way of surviving by yourself. They worry about you. Even if they are thousands of miles away, they are worrying about you. Well, how is that person doing and all that? And because of that, that childhood, the innocence they have, the uh, emotional development they are still working on gets lost along the way because they are thinking about you, especially those of us, the generation that didn't do much to prepare for this stage of their lives. It's now um, a burden to their children, and that the loss of childhood is happening when they have to take care of you, especially when you gave birth to them not too early, even if you did. And some of them now are taking care of their own children, your grandkids. And so they may not have time to do both, take care of you and take care of them. So that's another impact that this has, or an effect of that aspect of the emotion when they now raise you as their child instead of you still raising them as your as their parents, as yeah, I'm mixing it up. You raising them as your child, now they are raising you as a child instead of looking up to you only as a parent. Does that make sense? Yeah, I hope I clarified that. It also leads to guilt and anxiety. You see, as these young ones experience the caretaking aspect, for thinking about you, some of them feel that they're not doing enough. And despite the fact that they say no to you in your front or complain to you, um, they still go back, even if they give all that they have, they still have that within them that they're not doing enough to make you as comfortable as they feel you should and as you think you should. And the anxiety about this well-being for you and all that keeps them anxious, and they feel guilty, and they shouldn't. But sometimes we, their parents, we put that guilt on them. Um, that's when we compare. If you go back to um, the last episode, this is where I talked about you comparing sibling, comparison. Why are you not doing like your brother? Why are you not doing like your sister? And just imagine then when it's just one child being expected to do that, and they don't have a wherewithal to help you. The guilt is even more. And for those who can, and those amongst them who can't do enough as much as their siblings are doing. So that guilt is there. Okay. We have the social isolation part. This is where when they are taking care of you, the dad, the mom, the adult in their lives who is now, you are now being raised by them. Um, they may have friends who don't have similar situations. They have people who are they have it easy. They don't have any responsibility to that family responsibilities as we call it, and they can't relate. So instead of going out there at night to the bars or to the clubs, they're like, no, I need to go turn my mom, or I need to go give my dad medications and all that. There comes this aspect of loneliness for them because they can no longer relate with their friends. And of course, their friends may not understand because they might empathize, but they cannot sympathize because it's not happening to them directly. So these are some of the aspects, the emotional aspects that they are going through. And the worst part of it, the reason why we're talking about it is that when these children are doing their best, these young ones are doing their best, we, the parents, we do not, we don't make it easy for them. That's why they're complaining. When we ask you to do X, Y, Z, when we are doing our best, you still don't acknowledge. You still, even when you acknowledge, you need some more. And we feel what you're going through, but so this is what we are going through. So I hope we the adults will, and the elders and with their parents will listen to what they are saying to us. This is what they are going through, and that's why this topic is very, very important. When all this is going on and they are doing the best they can, they are giving their all, there may arise sometimes feelings of resentment towards their parents, okay? Um, when they give the care, because they watched you when they were younger, going into lifestyles that you shouldn't have gotten into. The addictions, smoking, drinking, all sorts of that. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, and they will resent you for all those things that you are doing to yourself. You never went to check up on your health. You were never home to even take care of your family. And now you want somebody else to be taking care of you. So they are finding that difficult. It's hard to raise our parents in that way because um, we're now pulling up our human aspect to help you. But, if we think about what you used to do, we wouldn't. But that's where the resentment comes in. And that actually, if care is not taken, complicates family relationships. And, who knows, neglect could come into that and all that. And that's when the parents start putting in alarms everywhere. Um, and that's not good for the young ones most of the time. Okay. Sometimes they have, due to this aspect, developed um, uh, uh, empathy for you, which is, conversely, a good thing. The experience they are getting um, from trying to help you, from how to raise their parents now, is building empathy for them and maturity, um, which is also a complex situation in the young individuals as they navigate all these issues. They are trying to do their best. And if you had given them that value, that caring value, that sensible value of giving also your best to help them when they were helpless or when they were growing up, which was part of your responsibility, and you had neglected some of them. Now it comes back to haunt. Okay. But innately, they are using whatever they have, pulling up their maturity and all to help. Sometimes this happens as well. Okay. Um, when we talk about emotional impact of them complaining that it is hard to raise you, the parents, it's hard to raise our parents. The generational gap aspect comes in. The generational gap has impact, has effect. It has some kinds of implications on the emotional aspect of our offsprings. Okay, these differences in values, and this is an area where we can talk till tomorrow. We all know the values are not only cultural or traditional; they really encompass a whole lot. Lifestyles and all that may lead to misunderstanding, and conflicts will ensue. And this is between generations. We all know that. So let's talk a little bit about that. When you have a young one who grew up in an environment that is really different from the ones we grew up on or in, there is bound to be that conflict. They tell us it's A, we tell them it's B. Then you and I, as parents, we talk about when our parents used to, this is what we used to do. That's what, well, we can, there is a saying that you cannot raise your child with what you used to do when you were little because it's a different world. And that is the aspect that most of their parents are not getting. They are not listening. And I can testify that when I, go about to talk a little bit about the contents of my books to some parents, you see them shout. For example, when I tell them, you can recommend some things for your kids, but you cannot tell them you want them to be a lawyer because you tried to be a lawyer and you couldn't make it. Now you want them to be lawyers. No, you can live through them. You can make suggestions and give them guidance and let them make their own, decisions. So that generational gap of this is what we used to do, we still want you to do that today, that's a problem. And they are having issues with that. And now that the reverse role is happening, you're still hanging onto those old days, and it's creating a lot of issues for them. They don't understand the way you used to be or the way your own parents brought you up because they weren't there and it's a different environment. So what you do, even okay, we talk about those in diaspora because they are way far away from home. Some of them do listen, but they want you to make sense to them. Explain it to them the way they will understand it. They are listening. But the way we were brought up was like you do what I ask you to do, no questions. But these young ones, they are trained in the classroom everywhere. Ask questions, even at the workplace. Don't just simply say yes, sir, yes, ma. Yes, ma'am. It's good to say that, but then politely ask your question. Why in the world are you asking me to do this? What are the benefits to it? What is in it for me? The wifing aspect. Even at the homestead, somewhere else in Africa, even if in the boonies of the forest, give them that benefit to ask questions, to really um, use today's environment, because it's not no longer when everybody was on their own. Now we are in a global community where we have everything at the touch of a button anywhere in the world. You can't ask them to live the way you used to live. So that's the generational gap as well. Even the lifestyles you live is different from today. So the halfway that we are asking everybody to meet these young ones is to understand their own environment. Some of us parents don't take the one just hot minute to understand their world, their music, their content, their way of their food, the way they eat, the way they sleep, and all that. In corporate world, we're beginning to roll that in to look at the young ones to say, okay, the 9 to 5 job may not be theirs anymore like we used to. And if you want them to be productive, tell them exactly, show them, give them specifics, and they will build even better things for you. But don't hold them to say, I was watching something 2 days ago when a child who is actually a gifted child is telling the teacher, and I think this is cartoonish, 3 times 5 is the same as 5 times 3. And this teacher is like, I don't think so. So when you go in deep into algebra or the deeper at math and everything, you find that these younger ones have a faster way of solving all those math things we used to be labored to find answers to. They, at the blink of an eye, they have so many ways now to do their stuff. So when you are giving them instructions, is I want a white car. So build me a white car. When you go into details of saying, use one stick and the other and use this, combination or the other, you are killing them. Just say, I want a white car. Give them the specifics of it has to be this way or that way, and let them bring the outcome. But our own, what their problem is that their parents who they now raise are still sticking to the fact that I will tell you how to build that car. Step A, step B, step C, and they're looking at you like, okay, when you finish your gibberish, I will go do what I have to do, and they give you the results. So we got to watch that because there is a gap in our generations. The last but not the least in this is the mental health issues. Because it's hard for them to raise us, because of all the obstacles we're putting along their path to try to do a good job, um, the pressure is on, which leads to their health issues, including depression and burnout. You as the parents, you're insisting, in doing things your way, the way you knew how. You forget the other ways, there are other ways to do the same things that their own environment are giving them access to. You may not understand that access. And so when you drag it along with them back and forth, it causes them stress, a whole lot of stress. And when it does stress, there is depression going on. And most of them now, they get burnt out. And you keep complaining about all that. You keep talking about all that. You keep putting them in positions where you're comparing them with everybody else, forgetting that every child or that you have given birth to every child has his or her own gift. Nobody is a tabula rasa. Nobody is an empty plate. And to compare that to them. And we heard last week when one of the young men who just um, came out to find a way to survive and to help the family didn't even have enough time to start building than everybody calling him to, we need this, we need that, and that happens all the time. And, he went into, he had health issues and died. And now, when that has happened, tell me everybody then survives, right? So we got to find a way to work with our young ones that are now raising us, who we raised during our own period. We gave them the value, the core values. There are something called the core values that they go with. We need to allow them to have um, the opportunity to use the environment that they have, the education we gave them, the values we gave them, the senses we gave them, the future that they could now have a little bit sight into to build what is sustainable for us or to help us. Um, for the rest, the number of days left for us as their parents on earth. So I hope we have talked about this emotional aspect to the extent that we understand and have a little glimpse of where we are heading on this topic. So on this note, I am going to cut this video short here because if I can be on this topic forever, but we have other aspects to this topic that we're going to explore. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. Please subscribe and share and have these discussions with your young ones who are now raising you. Ask them how you can help them help you. They are willing to sit down to talk. But I know we have that difficulty of talking, to sitting down to talk than to give others, because that's how we were brought up. But let's meet them halfway, okay? And let's not have others influence us as the people they are raising, because we listen to decide a whole lot, even those who don't even talk to their children are influencing you to talk to yours in whichever way. That no, 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 this is your right to do this. No, no, no. You gave birth to them doesn't mean that you own their lives. Okay? So as parents, we need to, sit down and have a second thought to this, because that's a complaint from our young ones. And on that note, I say thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening from. This is your, hostess, Dr. Marcellina Ndidia Paroji, saying sayonara.